Masvidal is a super explosive guy. He's got the fast twitch fibers. With that comes that he needs a lot of freaking stamina. And if somebody puts the pressure on somebody, and I know what I'm talking about since I used to be like that. All the guys who are super explosive, well, they need a lot of stamina. And if you have a guy like Diaz coming constantly forward, and he doesn't back down and constantly in his face, and he wires him down, that is, of course, if Masvidal doesn't land one of those crazy flying knees again or one of these crazy punches because he has a lot of power, that could be a long night for Masvidal because, he's going to wear him down. That's what he needs to do. He cannot, in the beginning, I wouldn't start even jabbing against him. He's got a long jab, so keep him far away. But Masvidal is a very explosive guy. He's out of the blue, he bursts and he comes forward. So if he connects, well, there's a lot of power in that, in whatever he's throwing. So if it's the first 3 rounds, how many is going to be a 5-round fight?
It's going to be 5 rounds, yep.
5 rounds, you see. So if it goes into the championship rounds, I see it leaning more towards Diaz. Pretty much every time when a Diaz is fighting, that is the game plan. You see it because they simply break them down, and then slowly but surely they start taking over later in the round. So, or Masvidal completely tuned up on stamina, but still, if you fight a fast twitch fiber guy and you're like a Diesel, which the Diaz brothers are, you have to be in their face the whole time. And then hopefully Masvidal in training can find people like that or do a Shark Tank, so to say, 1.5 minutes, 4 guys, 6-minute rounds. And then every time 1.5 minutes, you got a fresh opponent who constantly comes forward. Because it's something you have to learn to deal with. If he is the better striker in the gym and he manhandles everybody, that's a big problem. Because then if somebody suddenly is in his face, like Diaz is going to be, it's going to make you tired much faster because you're simply not used to it. We have this great fighter in our gym, and I wasn't there at the first fight, and I should have thought about this. And this guy is so insanely good. He's an older guy already. Billy Poe is his name. Super explosive. He's 205. He moves like somebody who's 175, 170 pounds. It's insane. And super fast. Pushes everybody backwards. In his first fight, he lost. And how did he lose? Well, by a decision, but the guy was just in his face. And he was never in that position that he'd been pushed backwards in training because he just simply manhandles everybody. You see, but you need to find a person who can mimic what Diaz does and can do it for an entire round. Otherwise, he's got to go to a Shark Tank and do it with 4 opponents who are constantly fresh and are in his face and do that for 5 rounds. Yeah, then he can be ready. But
when it first was announced, I thought Masvidal for sure was gonna get him. He's more skilled and has been around the block too and won't break. Diaz kind of strives on breaking a guy. And for this one, as it's getting closer and closer, I see Diaz might get him. I don't know. Masvidal better be focused. It seems like he's kind of smelling himself a little bit. The man's got a little bit of fame behind him now, and that better not go to his head because Diaz gonna show up ready to fight.
Do you think that pace might be a big factor as the rounds sort of go on? Diaz kind of turns it up in the later rounds.
Yeah, I think if you gotta put a gun to my head and make me decide, I think Diaz by late TKO, maybe 4th or 5th round.
So I think if George wins, he gets the title shot. I would venture to guess that's who's going to win. Although I can't be entirely certain, that's where I would probably lean. And if Nate wins, I have a hard time. Could you throw him a title shot? Sure, right? But then again, he's beaten Anthony and George, and that's really it in the last. He took 3 years off or something. So that makes that challenging to put in the title fight. So. I think you could, but I think you'd probably look to put him in a different fight of some type. And then if George wins, I would believe that George goes for the title.
Are you kind of pulling for Jorge in this one so that you guys can sort of meet later down the road and you can get that rematch? Who knows? Maybe he'll be champion by that point.
I don't think I could actually bring myself to cheer for George. I don't think that's a possibility. But hey, if he wins, good job.
I was gonna say you guys were tweeting the other day, and it was like almost cordial. He kind of even said that he was open to the rematch. Did that surprise you a little bit?
I made the dude famous. He better be open to it.
Over 5, I'd have to lean towards Nate. Mm-hmm. But I think Masvidal has a skill set to put work in. But I think Nate over 5 rounds can drag it to that uncomfortable place.
Who was the guys fighting for that? So you got Nate Diaz, and you've got Jorge Masvidal.
Oh, they can make me a burrito.
I think it's cute. I think it's cute that the UFC had to make this BMF title, which, by the way, BMF stands for Broken Mediocre Fighters, and that's what it stands for. And it's just, this is how society is today, boys. Is everybody wants participation trophies? Everybody wants handouts. People want things given to me. They don't want to be like me. They don't want to earn it the hard way, and that's the American way. I grew up in a blue collar family, and I had to earn everything I got. Nothing was given to me. I had to go out there and blood, sweat, and tears to get this world title. There wasn't some fake title that they put on the line for a participation trophy. So these kids could be in their safe spaces. I mean, these guys will never touch gold and the undisputed gold, and that's that. That's the truth. Then they're never ever going to be close to an undisputed championship. So they had to make some imaginary, participation trophy up for these losers. Actually, journeymen, if we're being honest. Look at their records. I mean, double-digit losses for both of them. That's hilarious. Oh my gosh, 50-50 records in the last couple years for both of them. Since when does being a 50-50 in anything in life get you to a world championship type opportunity? It's ludicrous, and it just really just dims the UFC's brand, and they're just making themselves look stupid. So, good on the UFC for making themselves look dumb and making their brand look even stupider. We're going to have to fight each other, and we're going to have to see each other in the octagon, and we can settle our differences then. All the pent-up aggression, the anger that he has towards me, he has a chance to settle it. When those cage doors locks in the UFC octagon and Bruce Buffer announces it's time, that will be the time he can let all those frustrations out, and and then hopefully we can go back to being civil with each other, because right now it's just we're wasting energy. He's doing stupid things. He's trying to act tough, and we're professional cage fighters. We get paid to fight in the cage. We don't get paid to fight outside of it. So I would hate to have to hurt him outside the cage so he doesn't get to the Nate Diaz fight.